Hello, my name is Bob. Welcome to a short stop on pool. A few weeks ago I had a poll to determine the rack of the week out of 3 racks, and rack number 3 won. This week we're going to do rack number 2, and for those of you who voted for rack number 1, don't worry, it'll be coming up soon. In this rack I keep my options open, and I seem to have to choose option B more than once. So the lesson is, always keep your options open and make it work so you can get through the rack. I have a slight inside angle on a high break ball, and I can tell that the cue ball is going to hit the top side of the 5, the second ball down on the rack. And so I want to cue this just with a straight high ball, and I'm expecting the cue ball to back up and then go forward. So this is a great result. I didn't try to overpower the rack. That was just a medium strength follow stroke. Let's take another look though. This is a great example of how these racks open. The cue ball backs up off the 5 as expected, but look at which balls leave the rack first. The perimeter balls on the opposite side of the rack leave the rack right away, but the 9 ball, the center ball in the bottom row, leaves the rack the fastest, and that's because it was directly in line with the 5 ball. Now watch the 9 ball come back to the rack. Compare the distribution of balls before the 9 ball comes back right here. There are 6 balls heading away from the rack and 6 balls clustered in the rack area. And now the 9 ball re-breaks the rack area balls. Notice that the 6 ball is now also returning towards the rack area, but the other perimeter balls do not have that much energy. Now if I had hit this with a full force follow stroke, more of those perimeter balls would have come back to the rack area and had a better chance to cluster up. Although the final destination of the balls on any break shot is random, the pattern that balls follow is predictable. And that's why my book has 2 chapters and over 100 video clips just on the break shot. Okay, we got to do a little rack analysis. Step 1 is always identify break balls. The 5 and the 3 are potential break balls. The 3 is a little far, the 5 is a little high. Something else could easily develop, so that's not a super high priority right now. My only shot is this 7 ball, and I'm concerned with the 8 and 2 being tied up. The 8 does not pass by the 2. And then there's a few balls clustered in the rack area still. From the 7 ball, I could play position for the 10 or the 6. The 10 ball could get me on the 1, which I could use to open up those clusters and have the 11 as an insurance ball. I think that's a great option. Shooting the 6, a little bit trickier, but maybe I could play position for the 10 or the 1 ball. I don't choose those options because I see opening the 8 and 2 as a higher priority. It's going to be easy to open up the rack area balls. The perimeter balls are going to be harder. Perhaps also this is consistent with the straight pool philosophy of working from the outside in. As I've mentioned before, you want to be attacking your clusters as soon as possible. If I shoot 7-10-1, that's 3 balls removed before I'm doing anything to advance the rack to an open position. I'm killing my soldiers before they can accomplish anything of value for me. What I notice is that the 4-9 combination is nearly straight. So I can shoot the 7, shoot that combination, and open up the 8-2. So in just 2 shots, I will be able to improve 2 different areas of the table. That's getting value from your shots. A quick word about opening the 8-2. I want to hit the 8 ball as full as possible, because if I hit the top side of the 8, my cue ball is going to go up table. And if I hit the bottom side of the 8, it can get tied up as well. So by hitting the 8 ball full, I'm expecting it to bounce off the cushion out to the open table and the cue ball to continue past it, giving me a shot on the 2 ball or the 8 inside. The result, I think, is a bit unlucky. That 8 ball double kissed my cue ball. Now I can't shoot the 3. I'm elevated over the 2, a very difficult 8 ball. I really don't have any other shot except for a very thin 2 ball. It doesn't take me long to realize that that 2 ball is going to be my best option. What I don't want to do is hit the 5 ball. The cue ball could scratch in the side, it could go up table, lots of bad things can happen. So I really want to make sure that I'm cutting this thin, and I've got left English, inside English. I want to either go between the 5 in that cluster or hit the cluster. As it is, I go between it and end up opening it up. So it turns out to be a very productive shot, but it was a little bit lucky getting to it. Now, since the table has been rearranged, is the time to do a little more rack analysis. And I still have the same 2 break balls, the 5 and the 3, potential break balls. But now I've got 2 potential key balls for the 3. So that makes me lean towards using the 3 and committing to that, although I want to keep the 5 ball open for now. There's also a possibility that something else will get nudged into a better break ball. But looking at the balls on the table, the problem ball is the 1 because it's trapped. The 1 ball blocks the pocket for some balls. Some balls are in the way of pocketing the 1 ball or in gaining position on the 1. I'm looking for a plan that'll allow me to deal with the 1 ball. And I see that the 12 ball can go in the bottom right corner, and when I shoot that shot I can move the 1 and have the 9 as an insurance ball. The 8 or the 14 can be a key ball to get on that 12 ball properly. Now the 10 ball is in the way of the 12. Otherwise I would leave the 10 and shoot the 8 ball right now. When I play position for the 8 ball, I want the cue ball to be away from those other balls. In other words, I don't want the cue ball to be close to the 5 and just sneak past it. I want to keep it in the open, keep it clear. And that's why I play the position I did. Unfortunately, I did hit it a little bit too soft, and I can't quite see the entire 8 ball. That's a bad mistake that can often be the end of a run. I think I may have been afraid of getting the wrong angle on the 8 and not being able to hold the cue ball for the correct angle on the 10. As it is, I've got to shoot a combination. Luckily, it's not too hard of a combination. And I can just roll the cue ball forward for position on the 1. So I had to go with option B there. If anyone sees a better pattern other than going after the 12 ball to get on the 1, let me know in the comments section. Now that the 1 ball's been moved, those 2 solids go in the bottom right corner, so I'm loving this. All I need to do is come straight up table. All 4 of these balls go in the bottom right. I want to shoot either the 8 or the 14 and then come back around to the other ball for my key ball. I don't want to leave both of those to the end of the end pattern. Apparently that's not enough good fortune for me, because here I decide I've got a great angle to shoot the 6 and nudge the 4 over and perhaps make a better break ball than the 3. I've got insurance balls everywhere. I mean, why not? As it turns out, it causes me a little bit of trouble, so I'm curious if you think this is a good play or if I had a better chance of tying up the 4 ball with one of those other 2 balls. Either way, I am definitely now in the end pattern, and I want to pick a specific pattern for pocketing the rest of these balls. My first priority, I'm looking at the angle for the 3 ball break shot, but my first priority is to decide which of those 2 balls, the 8 or the 14, is the key ball, and then I want to look for my K2 diagonally across the table. I like the 14 better because I think it has a larger position zone for getting on the 3 ball. Also, if I shoot the 14 ball now, save the 8, I'm going to be hampered by the 5 ball a little bit. Honestly, either one of them is going to work really well, but I choose the 14. So I'm going to shoot the 8 ball. Any of the 3 remaining balls could work easily as a K2 ball. What I've been looking for then is a kind of a stop shot pattern. And you can usually find one. For example, here I could go 8, 4, 10, and then 5 in the upper corner. That would be very minimal cue ball movement, close to a stop shot pattern. What I don't like about that is those balls are pretty close together, so you would actually have to be pretty precise with your position. I decide instead to use the 4 ball as my K2 ball, and the reason is I can have any angle on that 4 ball and get the cue ball over to the 14. So that means when I shoot the 8, I want an angle on the 5 to slide over for the 10, and then it'll be easy to get from the 10 to the 4. Based on where the cue ball stopped, I'm aiming for an inside angle on the 4 ball, so I can slide the cue ball over for the 14 without touching a rail. The cue ball travels a little bit farther than I wanted though, so once again I've got to fall back on plan B. I decide it might be difficult to hold the cue ball on the correct side of the shot line for the 14, so I'm going to go all the way across to the side rail and off. Now this is a little bit tricky because if you come too high on the side rail, you might not get a good shot on the 14. If you come too low, you could hit the 3 ball. And the cue ball is going to have some cut-induced spin, some right English on it when it comes off that side rail. The lesson for me is, boy, I should have played for the other angle on the 4 ball. That would have been a lot more manageable if the cue ball didn't land exactly where I wanted. So obviously I land short of my position, and I'm on to plan B once again. I'll give you a little hint during competition. If something like this happens, and it's going to happen, don't make a face. Don't act frustrated. Don't try to communicate with body language that that's not what you wanted. Instead, act like that's exactly what you wanted. It's going to help your own confidence, and you don't need your opponent to know that that's not where you intended the cue ball to stop. Unfortunately for me, I've been practicing the 15 ball lineup drill recently, and this type of shot comes up quite a lot. just a little pinch draw where you're hitting the ball really softly to hold the cue ball, and worked out perfectly. You've seen this break shot before, but I've been showing the break shot on both ends of a rack, so let's go ahead and watch the break shot again. What do you know, I made it again. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found that informative and helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Check out my book, A Short Stop on Straight Pool. You can find it at shortstoponpool.com. And stay tuned for next week's Rack of the Week.